Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Block Lights, we take a look at this. And what this is from the Palo Alto Firefighters, I guess, hot sauce company. It is the Habanero pepper sauce. And so I guess it was one of the firefighters. And oh, we made a fire station backyard. Growing some peppers back there, huh? Since 1994. And so you make the sauce. It was previously only available to firefighters, but I guess they have taken this on the road. All proceeds go to charity, or maybe I think this is probably somebody else is making this. This is kind of what I'm getting out of this. But we've got red jalapenos, excellent choice to start. Habaneros, water, distilled vinegar, sugar, paprika to really get that red going. Spice and xanthan gum. So spice is interesting because definitely, I don't know if they use the arbola in here as far as the spice, but definitely this reads of there's some. I'm gonna say probably onion, garlic, and cumin. Definitely that last one for sure, but I would strongly suspect the other one's in there as well. This definitely reads pretty. I mean, cumin is definitely there, but it reads pretty strongly the other ones as well. So let's take a little look here. To me, out of the gate, this definitely has a very distinctive sort of appearance to it. And it's the red orange that we see a lot in just different taco sauces or Mexican style sauces, like your salsa bravos, and maybe like Cholula and so on. That same sort of red orange, it's a fairly distinctive red-orange hue. You can see it's generally a pretty smooth sauce. But the way that this is doing this, it does strike me that there's some spice in there in the form of powders as well. So, but let's get on to this and see what we have here. There's a bit of grittiness to this as well. Probably from the peppers. The flavor just totally reminds me of those kinds of taco sauces. You know, the Ortegas and so on. Hotter than those, to be sure. No question about that. Definitely the habanero brings a nice bit of heat to play into things, but flavor wise, it is a sort of compound, not quite liquefied taco seasoning, but not super far away either. This is a bit more tart and tangy than I think some of those are, but I think you could also actually make in fact, maybe I'll do that at some point. You could actually just make tacos or burritos using this as the sole seasoning. So, you know, brown the hamburger and then cook it in this sauce. Let it simmer a little bit. And I think you could just skip the step of adding taco sauce after you made the tacos. So, because to me it is so very Mexican style coated as far as the sauce. They had a sale on these frozen burritos, and I was like, well, I don't have them a lot. It's like maybe I'll just get some. So this one is these are all El Monterey. This is the egg, cheese, and jalapeno. I do like these for breakfast every now and then. We've got here the red bean and beef burrito, and just a bean and beef chimichanga over here. And so just a couple notes here to compare and contrast. These are all somewhat different from each other, even though beef and bean are both the flavor. The chimichanga and burrito read pretty substantially differently from each other. We'll sauce it up. I'm going to start here with the egg and jalapeno burrito. And of course, Mexican style sauces just go super well with breakfast food, I think. So the Mexican style sauce I have open right now is actually the Tamazula Black Label. And that sauce I like quite a bit better on these than this, but this is pretty good. It is more properly, though, that sort of taco sauce that I mentioned. All right, definitely my strong preference is for the Tamazula, to be sure. Okay. The red hot beef and bean. And of course the red bean, the red hot beef and bean has been around forever. I remember that those used to be those massive things. I couldn't fit one on this plate lengthwise back in the 80s. I don't think those were El Monterey. I think there was something else, but it doesn't matter. They all taste pretty much the same. Definitely, this sauce works better with those than the egg, cheese, and jalapeno. And I think it's the cumin. I don't want that with breakfast, my breakfast foods. Cumin a little bit just goes a really long way for me. I'm going to switch over to the chimichanga. I think one of the other differences is that I think the chimichanga possibly has cheese as well. Yeah. I mean, it's a related but very different profile here. I got bits of the red jalapeno all over my plate here. I don't know if they use red habanero or not. Or if it was a orange. Probably orange. I mean, it works really well. I mean, I think it's a pretty solid sauce, all in all. I've just wound up with a whole host of, I shouldn't say it, I have had a lot of Mexican style sauces this year though. This one they're not marketing that way, but there is, I want to say, a jalapeno version of this also. And maybe some other styles. I mean, if you're... I'm assuming it's not coming out of the backyard of... whatever fire station in Palo Alto. Somebody named CMS, I guess, is making this. I don't know who that is. I mean, peppers are the first two ingredients in here. Oh, I know what I was looking for. Yeah. So this square thing is 8.5 fluid ounces. So you get quite a bit of sauce. And definitely, I think it's mild enough that it's meant to be used. It's meant to be used in a way that you can use a lot of it. It's pretty solid. I am going to get some, well, if it's not $1 bazillion at the store, but a ground meat of some kind. And I want to try it just by this only. You know, just try the sauce as the only seasoning and just see how that shakes out. Every once in a while I think about filming some of this stuff. The experiments. Just to see how it works out, but I usually don't, because if I go through all that setup and it doesn't work, then it's just a bunch of wasted footage at that point, and it's cumbersome, you know, the cameras and stuff are in the way. But, you know, who knows, maybe if I try it and it works and I have enough left, I'll come back and do it again. Usually I don't like to put a lot of the experimentation process with the cooking videos just out there. I have done it a few times. I don't like to do it a lot. Just, you know, mainly because if I really have no idea how it's going to turn out, to me it seems like it could go really wrong, and I would, I mean, it's not going to get posted if it does, but I would prefer not to just kind of spend that time if it's going to go really wrong. At least have an idea of, you know, what to kind of do with it. There's already more than enough fail videos on there with people sort of mangling and mutilating food without me contributing to that. Even though that would never be my point, I don't want to put inept fumbling out there, I guess. So if you do see another video of this with me actually making tacos like that, that will mean that it was a success, I guess. So, but yeah, this is, like I said, this, I think it's just kind of a hotter version of like one of those taco sauces that you just kind of see on the shelf in the grocery store. I mean, I think it's just right in that vein. And this will be at home on, I think, pretty much any any Mexican style fast food stuff you get. For me, I don't know that it really goes much beyond that, because I don't necessarily, it's slightly overly tangy. It's a bit too vinegary for me in the context of Mexican style sauces as far as what I like. And also, it's just slightly too cumin forward, again, to my preference. So, but if you have a higher tolerance for those things, you might enjoy it more. I certainly don't think it's a bad sauce. It definitely was not what I was expecting, though. When I saw sugar on here, I was like, oh, maybe it's a sweet hot. And just putting the word spice in there is meaningless, because that could be black pepper, it could be anything, and so that part I don't love, and it definitely, I didn't predict what this was going to be like very well, but it sat on one of my lists for a really long time, and I thought, oh, it might be interesting, and then just kind of, like, I have sauces I just leave in the list, and then if there's ever a sale or something like that, and I've tried to hit a shipping number or whatever, then I can just throw something like that in there. So it's kind of useful to have those kind of things. But I think it was more curiosity than not that kind of brought me to this. But it was definitely fun to sort of find out. And I mean, I've got quite a bit left to experiment with. So I'll probably be doing that with at least some of what the bottle is. Maybe after I run out of the Tamazula, then I'll start looking at trying to go through this with, like breakfast foods and stuff, but probably not. And I just like cumin, and I don't want cumin on breakfasty things. Just one of just a weird little quirk, I guess. So, but we can always hit up maybe a Del Taco or Taco Bell or something like that. This sauce is probably better than either one of those two have. So, I mean, you can always keep. That's one of the things you can do with a nice Mexican style sauce that you enjoy. You can always keep it on hand to replace their sometimes pretty questionable sauces. Not quite to my particular taste, but I can't say it's a bad sauce. It's a pretty decent one, and the way I described it is kind of more up your alley. This is definitely one well worth checking out. We'll leave it right there. So that was the Palo Alto Firefighters Habanero Pepper Sauce. Now go in peace to serve the flame.